Well, okay, we now have quizzes that we can have our students take, and we want to be able to allow students to sign in on their own name under their ID number and take the quizzes so that we can get more feedback and more information about students and how they're doing. So the first thing we need to do is start whatever class that we want to work with. So you need to open your teacher tools, and it even now says here, click here to start a class. So we're going to get the teacher tools loading up. And when it loads up, right now I've got no classes started. It may say anonymous mode if you've left off an anonymous mode. It may say whatever class you were working with last. But whatever class we want to start, where it says start a class, I'm going to start block 1. If you wanted students to still answer in anonymous mode, you could of course pick anonymous so that they don't have to sign in at all. But if I want students to sign in, I need to pick that class. So I'm going to start block 1. And now block 1 is started. My students should join Boudreaux class. It tells me right now that none of my students have signed on. I can stop the class if I wanted to. If I have all my students signed in, I don't want anybody else to sign in, I can lock it. But right now I need my students to be able to sign in. And my students don't know their ID numbers yet. I've given them ID numbers, but they don't know their numbers. If for some reason your students don't know ID numbers, they don't remember their ID numbers, you can, while the class is going, your class is going right now, work with the class list assessment and reports, go to the gradebook view. And you can project this up on your smartboard so they can see it. And I can go to block 1. It tells me this class is right now in progress. And I can allow students to sign in with their ID numbers. If I go over to the student tab, you can see that the student ID, their last name, their first name, their average is up. And if you've given grades, you don't want students to see each other's averages, just slide this over to the side so they can't see the averages. Up here in the top right hand corner, right now the privacy is on, which is why their IDs are blurred out. You want to turn the privacy off. And they'll be able to see their ID numbers, so they'll be able to log on their remotes using their ID numbers. If you have a long list of students and you want to be able to see more than a few IDs at a time, you can move your cursor until you get this little double line with an arrow up and down and slide your gradebook down, and you'll be able to see many more IDs at the same time. So now on the smartboard remotes, now that my students can see their ID numbers, they're going to join my class again. And this time, instead of just saying welcome to Boudreaux, it's asking for an ID number. So they're going to look up here and find out what ID number they are. So we're going to type in 101 for this student. And it shows up as they're typing it in. They hit enter. And it makes sure, it double checks with them, this is Albert Einstein. Do they want to sign in? If they accidentally typed in the wrong number, they can go to no, but they don't want to sign under this number. But in this case, we're going to say, yes, let's sign in. And it will tell them, welcome to Boudreaux's class. So now that they know that they have signed in under the appropriate name, and that way we'll be able to start the class. And as they're signing in, you can see the little dot showing up, showing you who has signed in and who has not. So this is another good tool for you to use to see who you're waiting on and who you still need to get to sign in on their remotes. So let me finish signing in on a few more remotes. And we'll see that everybody has signed in. And once everybody is signed in, they all have those green dots saying that they've signed in, we are now ready to take the quizzes. And once I start the quiz, this will be our next step on the next video that we're going to do. We'll see, now that they've signed in, how they can take the quiz and how you can view results now that they've signed in.